5, a local cemetery is temporarily shut down. It received 9 citations for allegedly operating illegally. NBC 15's Rachael Wilkerson has been investigating this graveyard since February. Rachel?
Yeah, Greg, last month there was pushback from neighbors when family members tried to bury a loved one in this cemetery off Cheeseman Avenue in Pritchard. Now we know why. Graveyard controversy.
It was illegal, most definitely. You know, he didn't go by the right way of doing everything.
Yesterday, the city of Pritchard filed multiple citations against Cedric McMillan and his New Birth Community Church and Heritage Funeral Home for failure to obtain a permit from the health department, violating city zoning, and operating a business without a license. The judge ordered, quote, there should be no burials in the cemetery at 1727 Cheeseman Avenue, Pritchard, Alabama. This comes after months of complaints from neighbors that the property regularly floods and is not a proper final resting place. This led the Pritchard City Council to take action.
You know, stays underwater. You know, you don't want to put a loved one up in there, you know. I know I wouldn't.
In February, viewers reached out to us with their concerns over the cemetery. Since then, a petition has been signed by many in the neighborhood. Jimmy Firestone and Cherie Bethel both say no one should be buried there due to flooding issues.
From his house all the way down here, floods. So with this being so low and putting a cemetery here will only make it worse, because that means the water going to seal back up in our yard.
Due to those complaints, the council passed this ordinance on February 7th, known as a temporary moratorium. It was signed by Mayor Jimmy Gardner, putting a halt on activity at the cemetery, giving the council time to inspect the property. But as you can see, the business didn't stop.
He called himself was going to be sneaky and slick and going to bury somebody, you know, knowing that he was violating the law.
In March, our cameras witnessed a casket being loaded back into the hearse when neighbors complained about a scheduled burial, leading Pritchard police to shut down the service.
You don't have the rights to put a body here because it was stopped. But yet and still, you're going to bring somebody out here and try to bury them when you know it's not, you don't have the right to do it.
McMillan has pleaded not guilty to the charges. Today I reached out to Cedric McMillan. He told me, quote, Heritage Funeral Home nor myself owns Heritage Memorial Gardens. This issue has been resolved per documentation from the city of Pritchard.
So the families say they are now at their wits' end.
And Kim and Greg, you've heard this time and time again. These families want answers and want their loved one removed from Heritage Memorial Gardens. They feel like today was another roadblock.
It's been too long. Since March, it's been too long, and still haven't found any grounds of peace nowhere.
Breaking news: an NBC 15 investigation into an alleged illegal cemetery resulted in a raid on a Pritchard church this morning.
Investigators were looking for evidence that a funeral home may not be delivering on its promise to have those buried resting in peace. We have team coverage tonight on this exclusive story.
We begin with NBC 15's Rachael Wilkerson. She was there when investigators from the sheriff's office raided that church.
Rachael, investigators knew exactly what they were looking for when they raided New Ship Ministries Church.
Yes, they did, and now they're putting the pieces together. Digging deeper into an alleged illegal cemetery.
We've had some victims come forward with concerns about their loved ones who have passed.
The concerns, whether or not bodies are buried in the cemetery plots they purchased. The cemetery is operated by Cedric McMillan.
I think he will soon see that the walls will be closing in.
Investigators with the Mobile County Sheriff's Office have been looking into the operations of the cemetery, which led them to the New Ship Ministries Church on Wilson Avenue. Today they served a search warrant on the church and found something disturbing, a foul odor and some empty used coffins. Joseph Bonner is renting this church for his ministry. Investigators are looking into Bonner's relationship with Cedric McMillan, who owns the funeral home connected to the cemetery. Have you helped him at that cemetery on Cheeseman Avenue?
I haven't had any affiliation other than being on site as a funeral director.
Investigators have lots of questions after today's raid. They found multiple caskets and embalming equipment throughout the building.
And it appears that they're being pulled out and reused.
Bonner admitted the caskets belong to him. What about those caskets that they have? There's clearly dirt and mildew in some of them. Have they been reused?
No, they haven't. Those are old caskets, and that's the reason I have them, because they're old.
Investigators brought in a cadaver dog looking for evidence that perhaps these caskets were buried and then removed. She hit on this casket, alerting investigators that there has been a body inside.
I'm very shocked, very confused. no words can really describe, how we are feeling right now.
It's a disturbing discovery, and investigators say a violation because this church is not licensed to operate as a funeral home.
In the contract, it was stated that there would be nothing to be done as far as a funeral home. No caskets, no bodies, nothing dealing with the funeral home. And so right now, our heads are kind of spinning right now.
Andrew, after so many viewers reached out concerned about if their loved one was actually buried or not and wondering if Heritage Funeral Home had a business license, we called on the city for answers. After a series of raids searching for evidence that Heritage Funeral Home, operated by CEO and registered sex offender Cedric McMillan, may be operating illegally, there's a new twist. The City of Mobile's Revenue Department confirms it does not have a business license.
I'm just in complete shock of it.
There is no way to describe the odor that investigators say is seeping out of this grave. They say it's another gut-wrenching discovery.
It's frankly disgusting that a person would do this, to family members who are grieving, burying their loved ones.
News tonight, the man at the center of a cemetery controversy is now wanted by local authorities.
As NBC 15 has exclusively reported, Cedric McMillan is facing charges in Pritchard, accused of operating an illegal cemetery. Now investigators say he has violated the conditions of a sex offender conviction.
NBC 15's Rachael Wilkerson was there with the investigators as they tried to track him down.
Kim and Greg, we're at Heritage Funeral Home. This is the second location raided today by the Mobile County Sheriff's Office. They also went to Cedric McMillan's house searching for him, but he wasn't there.
A lot of folks have reached out to you.
Yes, they have, Greg, and they were crying on my shoulder Tuesday after investigators searched the cemetery looking for answers.
We do want him to be exhumed. We need to know if he's here. And we also would like for the Heritage to pay for him to be moved.
Heritage Memorial Garden Cemetery. Hardly any headstones, mud, water puddles, countless problems from Michelle McCall and Jenny Packer. They desperately want their loved one, 33-year-old Laquan Packer, exhumed.
Rachael Wilkerson has been following this story from the very beginning. She began digging in February. Her first report was in March, and now it has split wide open. This whole story about this cemetery and what possibly might be in here or not, and who is responsible. We're going to go to her live right now as she takes a look back at what we've covered so far. Rachel?
Well, Darwin, it's been a 4-month process. It started when neighbors were complaining that this was not a legal cemetery, but burials were happening. So we decided to check it out. When we got here, we did witness a casket being loaded back up into a hearse. I'm going to step out the way so you can see it, but we actually did see the lid of the vault where Laquan Packer's grave is. His family is anxiously waiting to see the results. This has been a painful journey for them. They said they just want closure. Mobile County Road and Bridge, Pritchard Environmental, and the Mobile County Sheriff's Office is out here, and you can see them digging up Packer's grave right now. And the families had to give the Sheriff's Office permission and get a court order to do this. And today is the day that everyone has been waiting for. A moment families have been waiting for. Deputies cuffed Joseph Bonner, charging him with 2 counts of abuse of a corpse.
It gives a sense of justice to the families. I mean, they knew something wasn't right from the beginning, and now they're getting those answers.
Bonner is the licensed funeral director and embalmer who investigators say oversaw burials at Heritage Memorial Gardens. Deputies dug up 3 graves today, searching for the truth. Captain Paul Birch with the Mobile County Sheriff's Department says they did find caskets and vaults, but they were full of water.
The vaults not being sealed, or grave liners, whatever these particular ones are called, is part of the problem. Part of the problem is inadequate embalming process.
Neighbor Jimmy Firestone was the first to bring this alleged illegal cemetery to our attention. He complained for months, saying it floods here when it rains, a major concern loved ones had.
Just flooding around here, people, loved ones, didn't deserve to be over here.
It's been a long, painful journey for families seeking answers. Investigators say after today, there are more questions than answers. But one answer they do have is the bodies of the 3 dug up today were there.
They're not happy with the conditions, but they have a sense of peace knowing that they're here and that they have the opportunity to move them somewhere else.
The sheriff's office says there is much more to come. There could be additional charges for additional people. And we've been bringing you this story from the very beginning, and we'll continue to bring the latest updates. Reporting live in Pritchard, Rachael Wilkerson, NBC 15 News.